First of all, I would like to ask you, how are you? I mean, it's the last presentation of the day. Fine. Okay, great. So, as the last presentation of the day, I will try to wrap things up faster. And also to stand up to the challenge and keep your attention for the next 20, 30 minutes or so. Today, as announced, we have heard a lot of interesting topics about the challenges that we have met since the pandemic hit and turned our world upside down, about the cybersecurity threats and the technical controls and solution, how to fight back the cyber crimes. I plan just to finish day one with a different point of view of the information security. So I am Ivana Dichovska. I am the IT operations lead in CRX market. Gavin did not update my info on the site. And I work in a fintech company from the heart of Munich. And today I will be talking about the raising awareness and the employee training about security threats. In order to do so, I would like to start with a retrospective of 2022. So if you can tell me, what do you know what this company have in common? Well, yeah, they have all been breached in 2022. And no surprise, there was not a known vulnerability that hit those companies, nor a zero-day vulnerability, nor a DDoS attack. Basically, the attackers hit the weakest link in the cybersecurity system, and that is the user. Acorn Financial Services was breached in August 2022. And during this breach, a lot of personal identifiable information was leaked. Another one that is not on the list, it's AHN, Allegheny Health Network. I think that I'm pronouncing that properly. So on top of the personal information that got leaked, also patient-protected information got leaked, which is, the most intrusive way into one's privacy, basically their diagnosis and their treatments. Now that we have covered the financial and the health sector, let's switch our focus to the IT industry, basically the IT giant, MailChimp. They had part of a breach in March 2022. Basically, the attacker employed social engineering tactics to get a hold of employees' credentials, and later on, those credentials were used to access MailChimp systems. And during that attack, around 300 accounts were viewed, and data from 100 accounts was exported. Another example is Twilio. Basically, they got hacked twice. The first time, that was in June 2022. They were a victim of a phishing attack, but based on the company statement, they reacted quickly and closed the gap within 24 hours and no damage was done. But they were not that lucky the second time, in August the same year, when they were part of a very coordinated and sophisticated smishing campaign, which allowed the threat actors to get a hold of 29 customer data. Should we care? Yes. Why? Well, because every breach brings a damage to the organization. In some cases, based on the attack vector, it can stop business critical processes, and with that the company will lose money. In every scenario, the organization will suffer a reputational damage. And quite often, it will empty the bank account of the affected organization due to the regulatory fees and, in some cases, also reparation fees to the affected parties. Now, if we speak in numbers, we can see that how the cost of cybercrime basically progressed through the years. In 2015, it was only 3 trillion. And as mentioned a couple of times today, the expected cost of the cybercrime this year is around 20 million, and the predicted value in 2025 will be around 10 trillion, which is huge. If we go one step further, based on the Wirtschaftsschutz-Bericht from 2022, only in Germany the cost of data breach for the last year is 23 billion. And based on the IBM report of cost of data breach, we can see that for one breach, the average cost is like 4.35 million, and the average cost for data breach in Germany is around the average, basically 4.85 million. So now that we have these two numbers, alone in Germany, the reported breaches were around 40,000 last year, which is huge. Oops, sorry. It's scary that over 70% of the data breaches are basically starting with a phishing campaign or another form of social engineering. The most targeted industries nowadays is the IT industry, financial services, and healthcare. And the most affected target group is basically the working population between 18 and 40 years old. The channels, no surprise, that are most being used to deliver such kind of attacks are emails, social medias, collaboration tool, messaging apps. Now that everything we have, we move to the cloud, or we are in process of moving it, we can all agree, as in the analytics that says here, that 8 out of 10 security professionals agree that their organization's security is increasingly dependent on the security of their partners and suppliers. That goes hand in hand with the fact that it is predicted that the attack of the digital supply chain will be tripled by year 2025 compared to 2021. And that is the case, for example, with Trezor and OT. Now, basically, Trezor was victim, or they were targeted with a phish campaign also last year. But how that it came that they are targeted. Basically, if you remember on my previous slide, MailChimp, the attackers got viewed 300 accounts, but they exported the data only from 100. Basically, they had enough time to select and plan their further phishing strategy. And basically, the Trezor phishing campaign can relate to the data leak that occurred in the MailChimp breach. Similar things is with OT. Basically, during the breach of Twilio and the exposed data, the threat actors got a hold of 93 OT accounts, which is basically two-factor authentication subsidiary company of Twilio, and they even managed to register faulty device in the two-factor. So it's a disaster. Okay, now that we know that, how we can improve that? Well, recently I was listening to a podcast and there was a statement that really struck me. And it goes something like this. We can have a Porsche-grade cybersecurity defense strategy, but if we give that keys to a chimpanzee, how far will we get? Nowhere, until we learn how to drive. Related into IT terms, we can have the proper toolset, we can have the most expensive equipment, and we can have it properly configured. We can have a proper policies in place, but that will be all for naught if we do not train our user and raise their awareness of the security landscape. How to do that? Well, with a right training program. Basically, you can have in-house training program. You can use some of the advertised as a service training program. That's up to your organization. But in my personal opinion, what is crucial for the training program to be successful is to have these key elements. To be individual, be a self-placed program, because everyone has its own dynamics of studying and learning. Then it should be interesting. I mean, you don't seriously expect someone will learn something on a very dull presentation or a long text that they don't not understand half of the things that's written there. Then interactive, by the end user having immediate results, they will be more aware of their weak areas and what they should learn and what should they further improve. Then it's a good idea, the training program, to be incentivized. And for the companies to dedicate some amount of budget to the best employee of the year will not be much as an organization, but I believe it will be a quite powerful booster in the motivation of the employee. But we don't need to go to be monetarized. The company can also use a game-like strategy and hand out a trophy, for example, to the best employee of the year. And last but not least, it should be unique. Basically, it's paramount that we know our users well, so we can adapt and develop the training program based on their needs. For some, gamified approach might work perfectly. For some, for example, like me, that are more into reading, would like to read those long and boring documents. That's the vertical separation. Then maybe we can have it targeted the other way around based on the department. For example, I'm quite confident that all IT personnel or more IT-savvy user would like to know and understand more about the threat and how to prevent it, rather than compared to a non-IT person. That's another way to go. But again, it depends on the organization and its needs. Wrong key. Basically, having a right training program is the key to success of establishing a healthy security culture within the company. But what should we actually do to have it? Well, we should prioritize consistency over irregularity. Having continuous training over the year is way more beneficial to the end user and the company itself, rather than having 1 8-hour-long training session at which half of the audience will fall asleep and nothing will get learned once a year. Then, we should always act globally instead of remediating locally. What does that mean? So, it's crucial, yes, to teach our employees how to act, but should we only focus on our employees, or maybe we should also reach out to our partners and customers and the people that we have daily communications with? For example, let's take an example for spoofed email. Also, which is very important, is to educate our users not only on the cybersecurity threats, but also the way how we have implemented our controls, how to fight against them. For example, our company uses digital signature for every sent out email. And in case of a spoofing email, if the employee, our internal employee, is not aware about what that red pendant in the corner means, he may click to a malicious link or starting to get into conversation with the threat actor, not knowing that that mail is spoofed. But if the awareness of our employees is raised to a level that they know how to differentiate, they know our policies, even if the mail is spoofed, they will recognize that the red pendant is missing, and they will not engage in further communication. Next, control exposure over pure theory. Here, the simulations come in play, because it's way better to teach your user, your employee, hands-on in a control environment, of course, because if they know how to notice the critical signs in the control environments, they will know how to properly behave on a real phishing attack. And if we have only theory, then yeah, we will have breaches. Diversify content over repetitive scenarios. This is also one important aspect that we need to consider. Basically, if we start a phishing campaign and we repeat that constantly, month after month, year after year, it will get boring to the users and they will not react in any way, which is bad. And we need a diverse content so that we can keep our employees always on their tiptoe, so they don't know what to expect next, and to treat everything as suspicious. And the last, which is, I think, the most important one, to have a proper response over ignorance. Because even if we have trained our users well not to engage in any potentially harmful communications, not to click any malicious links, if they not respond to that, we won't be able to protect the other users that don't know about it, or to reassess the configuration of our systems. So basically, this is where I end my presentation, as promised, earlier than planned, so we can enjoy our refreshment and champagne. And as this is the last presentation, I think that if you have any questions and if you're interested how we have implemented our training strategy in our company, you're welcome to ask us in the roundtable discussions. Thank you.